I'm Eric Russell. I am out and about here at Firehouse Theatre's production of A Civil War Christmas. Yay! Amazing time. Happy holidays. It's Christmas time. It's an amazing musical, and you made me cry. That's how you know it's Christmas in the holidays, because there's crying. But what a magnificent, magnificent show, and showing a different part of history and a different view and take of Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and the holidays. For the time period. But before we get into all that fun stuff, I want you to introduce who you are and who you play in the show. We'll start right here.
I'm Deborah Crabb, and I play Jessa, Little Jim, and Jim Wormley. And hey.
I'm Greg Garrett, and I play Mary Todd Lincoln, Widow Saunders, and Secretary of War Stanton.
Jeremy B. Morris. I play Decatur Bronson. I play Frederick Wormley, Louis J. Weichman, Wells for the Navy, et al.
I'm Jesse Mattis. I play Moses Levy, General Sherman, General Robert E. Lee, Chester Manton Saunders, and a lot.
John
Wilkes Booth.
Who else do I play?
I'm Chris Hartman. I played Abraham Lincoln, Walt Whitman, and Silver.
I'm Jay Banks. I played Eli Parker, unnamed Wormley's son in Act 2, and a lot of other people. George, yes, I play George. I haunt things.
Hi, I am Raven Wilkes, and I play Hannah and Rose, Aggie, and the matron at all.
I'm Craig Smith, and I play Longfellow, Grant, Ward Hill Lemon, the President's Chief of Security, slave owners, Confederate soldiers, Union soldiers, all kinds of stuff.
Your turn.
I'm Keedron Dunn. I play Wormley, Walker, and a sundry characters.
I'm Rebecca Turner. I play Raz Franklin, Clara Barton, Nikolai, Anna Surratt, and various assorted soldiers, Union and Confederate alike.
My name is Andrea Wilson. I'm the music director, and I play piano, guitar, strings, and glockenspiel.
There's a word you don't get to say too often. Glockenspiel. So this is a very civil cast. Everyone's like, who am I? This act.
Yeah.
But amazing, because no one's like going, who am I this time? I'm Mary Todd George.
That does happen. You do have to keep up with who you. Oh wait, what's next for me?
Little Orphan Black the Week. Which clone am I?
Oh, yes, Orphan Black.
That's right. I would work some kind of science fiction thing into my hand. So what's so great about this in terms of like a holiday story, a Christmas story, we've got Ghosts of Christmas Past, we've got people on journeys, we're following stars, but we're also looking at this nation at a time period. Because in the history books, everyone thinks this happened here, and then went to chapter 3, and something else happened, not realizing it all happened at the same time. So I did my little research, because everything is educational. The more you know. There we go. Dun, dun, dun. So in this time period, in 1864, a lot happened. Arlington National Cemetery was first opened and stood up. The Coinage Act was put in place by Congress, so our coins all say, "In God We Trust." So that's something. For that actual time period in December, where a lot happened, Sherman marched in the sea December 4th. December 15th through 16th, we had the Battle of Nashville. On the 21st, Sherman's campaign ends, and he's captured at the port of Savannah, Georgia. So around Christmas time, it was really busy. But also at this time period, because I love photography, this is when photography really became something for the masses. People were taking photos of their loved ones before they went to war. They carried them to war. And this is when we really start to see war. Matthew Brady's out there sending home images that are going on papers as people are doing the Western expansion, as Native Americans are being moved to reservations and the trains. People are seeing war. And it wasn't as elegant as I thought it was made out to be. But here we are, it's Christmas, and we're looking at three people. We've got a mother who is heading north with her daughter. We have a soldier who is dealing with the loss of his wife in his anger. And we have a husband and a wife who are trying to have Christmas the way families do, because you're dealing with loss of a child, or you've got work. You know, things we have today. That part hasn't changed. But this is all done through song. And we're hearing Christmas carols, we're hearing spirituals, we're hearing German hymns, we're hearing those things before we got into Frozen.
Oh no.
That was a bit of a judgment thing. Yep,
No,
I
I
know.
love
I'm sorry, just a second. Just a second. Let it go. Last week, we'll do it again on Sunday with Richard Men's Chorus. There we go. So I was going through this, and there were so many things here that I know I've sung that I really enjoyed growing up. But each one of your characters almost has like their own personal song. So I want to talk about, what has the music meant to you as a cast and individuals? And that's open to anyone. Go. This is great. Go for it.
Okay. So I guess my personal song would be Silent Night, and I get to do a really wonderful rendition of it with the cast, where we incorporate a Jewish hymn,
Yeah.
and it's really beautiful and touching. I think what the song means to her, and from a character standpoint, I think that it's something that she would have sang to her own children at Christmas time. It's very, very traditional. What child hasn't heard Silent Night? And when she gets the chance in the Armory Hospital, when there's really nothing she can do for this poor sick soldier, to sing to somebody's lost child is when she herself has lost a child, and to sing Silent Night about the baby, Jesus, is very beautiful.
That's very kind of lucid when she realizes her grief is going to be shared by someone else. She's connected, going, I'm not the only one
who has lost a child. And at Christmas time, that's very important to know.
Your character, Decatur, when you have this just amazing moment of clarity, but you sing about your lost wife in Yellow Rose of Texas, and to me it just took on a whole new meaning. It's this song of mourning. Usually we hear this very countrified, oh, Yellow Rose. Your take, just talk about where that came from for Decatur, who was singing about his...
Well, it's actually very good that that's in there, because in the very beginning, his song, I would say that his personal song in the very beginning shows up as Take No Prisoners, and which is a very hard-hitting, it's very angry, it's very visceral, in that place of, continuously asking, where is she, and then essentially killing his way to his wife, regardless of whether or not she's still out there. He still holds out the hope that she's still out there, but his means of reaching out to her is killing as many people as he can until he gets to find her again. And so that moment is such a tender remembrance. It's a retreating back into that tenderness and that calm. Because I imagine him as being that person where it's just brute strength all the time. I mean, he was born into a condition in which his very flesh and soul and blood broke down to dollars and cents to these people. And he says, okay, that's fine. I'm born into that condition, but I'm going to work my way out of it. That's all you've given me to do. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to work my way out of it. He bought his own freedom, something that by right ought to have belonged to him in the beginning. And so after all of that, he's able to assert himself as a human being and take on this wife, this woman who's loved him, and been able to curtail that brutishness of him, that patience and that calm, when she's teaching him how to write, when she's teaching him how to read and everything. Those moments are those things that kind of guide him and kind of calm him and move him into this place of who he really is, or actually could be, if he wasn't facing all of this seemingly insurmountable opposition all the time from all directions. And so that being taken from him, that peace and that evenness being taken from him, we get to glimpse it with the Yellow Rose of Texas when he's remembering his wife, he's searching for her, and then it's just that moment where he has that sequence of that wonderful dance, and he's found her again, and then when he realizes she's gone again, it comes right back to that viciousness. So that song is an amazing reminder of what love can do, what love can actually conquer, and what it can bring you through. But then also the catastrophic consequences of what can happen when that's taken away from somebody, especially somebody in that desperate circumstance.
Not knowing the whole outcome of everyone's history, do you think Decatur finds out what happens to his wife? Do you think Renee, or do you think she was just lost?
I pray he does. I've been through so many different stories. It's kind of my full-time work to examine and analyze the stories of the enslaved people of this time period and before, especially in the 18th century, as a matter of fact. And I've been through so many runaway ads. I've been through so many articles that are just like, these people have been sent off to the Sugar Islands. They're leaving behind their children. This husband and wife, ran away together after having jumped the broom. And the jumping the broom is this illegal version of getting married, because as property, you can't legally recognize a binding contract. And so they didn't recognize it in the law. You can tear them apart if you want to, if you need to make that profit. And so in those situations, I've seen so many of them that end in such tragedy. So I can only pray that the man finds his wife again. I don't know for certain. I can always be optimistic about it, but it's painful. But our history is so tangled, it's so complex. I always have that hope now, even when I'm reading about these names on ledgers and the fact that these people lived full lives that will never really be recognized or expounded upon. It's a painful thing, but I have a hope and a recognition and an appreciation for every single life, that appeared on this world that nobody counted past their function.
And it's just powerful because we tend to gloss over history, even when we're teaching history. We tend to gloss through it. We only give the happy highlights, and we forget what truly has happened in building a nation and dealing with people's rights and equality for everyone. And this is a great story that shows people, they put things aside and they work together. I think we forget that. Even at this time of year, I think we forget what it's like to be neighbors, to be a nation, to be human to each other. Another song that stood out in my head was Follow the Drinking Water, because this song is repeated more than once. And it actually became a teleplay, like in the 1960s again, the whole thing that kind of has that new feel of, following the star of the three wise men. It's very different. It's a very spiritual song that you don't hear at Christmas. And so as a group, as performers, and for those of you guys to sing it, what does it mean for you? And talk about that piece. Because even as a director, guiding folks through how you make a song feel that we as an audience may never have heard.
Well, for me, the first time we sing it, I'm still with my mom. So it was kind of a following, when a child first learns a song and they're just happy-go-lucky singing the song with the parents, and you never really think about the words. And then in the second act, singing it by myself in Washington, D.C. alone. It's like, when you're alone for the first time, say when you go to college and you start remembering things that your mom says that you kind of threw away, and you're like, you know what? She's actually right about this. Or, I actually need this piece of advice. When you're on your own, so many things that you never realized you soaked in kind of start coming out, and you realize how much they help you or they give you comfort. So for me, the second time singing it is kind of, I don't know where my mom is and I'm alone, but I'm singing this as my happy comfort song until I find my mom or until I'm in a safe place. So that's what I took from the song.
I like the fact that in the choreography you have the black chorus and the white chorus singing it separately to give sort of a metaphor of, in the song it's talking about running away to freedom. So you have the black chorus, literally while Hannah and Jessa are running towards freedom. And if you can imagine, for a second, empathize with these people that had no compass, no way of knowing. They were breaking the law. They knew that if they were to run towards freedom, that if they got caught, they were done. They were done. And still, they make that decision. There's a resilience and a hope that is so strong that they will choose to run. And I think that is, a very, very strong message and metaphor that you see on stage here, because you do have a nation torn apart. And I think that, you know, this nation hasn't healed yet from that tear, from that rip, and we're still seeing that pop up in the news, and we feel it on the streets, and we haven't actually, I don't think, rightly healed from that. And I think that this play does, in carrying us through this story, tries to find ways to alleviate some of that pain, or to show us some ways in which we can all gather around and empathize with one another as a human, especially in this time of Christmas and in this time of giving. But for the first time that we sing it, I like that we are separated, and that we're, you know, you have, you know, for me it's the white chorus being the slave catchers going out to catch, and the black chorus going out to run, while you have Hannah and Jessa intermingling between the two and trying to find their way with nothing but by starlight. And, you know, living in the city, you forget how dark it is. But, you know,
because they have gaslight.
Yeah.
And in doing my research, I think the gourd is actually the Big Dipper. They're following So it's like Getty, I sprung it off.
It's the Big Dipper.
Big Dipper.
Points to the north sky.
And they can only be seen when they're in the country, because once we're in D.C., it's like you've got that light of the big city, for as big as it was back then. It was just a very modern city. And these people have come to a place they don't know. They're strangers in a strange land, and I got to get to the White House. Playing very historic characters, Mary Todd Lincoln and Abe Lincoln, it's almost like they're like a secondary part. They're almost like they happen to be here, but everything else is going around them, because they're focused on, I forgot my wife's Christmas gift. I have to go get this. And we're seeing the lives of the people around them that really had something to do. They're more worried about their public thing. Oh, if I don't get my wife a gift, I'm dead. Oh, I have to have a tree. If it's not perfect, then everyone will talk about, I didn't have a tree and my dress wasn't new, but there's some other real things going on in people's real lives. And we start to see some of those moments. So playing these important people in the Lincoln White House dealing with a real crisis.
Yeah. I think you saying that, I think that was also something I realized a little while back, of just the stories of the different people and how strong those stories are. And I'm not sure if that was a choice of hers, but I think it's really cool to see, since we spend so much time focused on the big figures in history, like we spend so much time learning about George Washington and Ben Franklin and Thomas Edison and all these people, but we never spend the time to learn about the people who helped them get where they were, or the people that kept them where they are. Like, you know, today we're so concerned with celebrities and things, but we never think of the agent who's up at all times of the night making sure he has the next movie, or, you know, the person who's making sure this article is written right for this person and that person, and it's just showing, making the right thing, you know, it's just showing about, you know, society, especially at Christmas, we're all so concerned about ourselves and like, oh, I must get this gift for my son and he has to be happy and this, and sometimes we're so rude to other people, we're not thinking, you know, what's that person going through today, or, you know, hey, maybe I should say Merry Christmas to this person or Happy Holidays, or I shouldn't think so much about myself, and maybe if I focused on other people around me, it might help my spirit even get higher and better.
I think it also helps focus on the consequences of the actions, because, you know, Lincoln's overjoyed that Sherman's reached Savannah, but he just gets a telegraph and celebrates it. Raz is the one who has all this pent-up anger because his house has been destroyed, so he runs to try to join the army. You know, misguided. You've got all these different things happening, you know, like Booth is the one planning the murders, but like Mary Surratt's the one who's going to, she's seen as this very innocent person, but she's the one who's going to be put on trial and ultimately eventually and executed. Yeah. And so I think the play highlights a lot of the consequences of these larger decisions in people's lives, and not focusing on sort of the angst Lincoln had about it, but more on what did that actually mean.
And she even has this great moment when her daughter says, well, that's the president. She said, well, okay. She still wants her for Merry Christmas. She's kind of like, well, all right, we can still be civil, we can be cordial, we might disagree. Doesn't mean we still can't get along. Because we know we've all had fights with friends. You know, we've all had those friends where you're like, I'm angry at them, they're going, why am I, you know, you get over it and you're still friends.
Yeah.
So many great songs in here, but do you individually have a favorite Christmas song that may not be in the show that, go for it, what's your favorite? Okay.
Oh, I can talk about this one. My favorite one is I'll Be Home for Christmas.
Aww.
And actually, it's interesting because, like I'm sure many people, I heard the song before I really knew the background behind it. And it's one that, okay, you can sing it while you're away at college, that kind of thing. But if you look back into the history of it, it's a soldier's song. And talking especially about, even if it's only in your dreams and letters and that kind of thing, you can be close to people. When it's something that I think lots of people forget about, you know, people who aren't able to spend time with each other during Christmas. And I think that while some people might get sad about that, I think it's important to have a song that will remind you that it's not a reason to get, you know, depressed and that kind of thing. It's still something you can celebrate, having those happy memories.
Because we see things, and not believing anybody's professional, but we work in entertainment, so we have a show at Thanksgiving, we have a Christmas Eve show. You have got people who have to work the emergency rooms and the flights and the hotel desks. And when you see people going, well, I have to work Christmas Eve at whatever retail place, yeah, but you're going to get to go home.
Right.
We forget about the soldier or the fireman or the person who really, they're not going to get to go home because they're doing what their job is.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing your job means you don't get to spend time always with the ones you love, but you know the love, you can empathize, because somebody has to do that job.
Absolutely.
Somebody has to be out there. So sometimes you just need to, you know, do that. And do someone else's favorite Christmas song? Give a favorite?
Yeah. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. And the reason behind it, I absolutely love. Mel Torme wrote that song. It was July. His air conditioning broke. He was in LA. It was 105 degrees. And he needed to cool off. So he wrote that song. Go, Mel.
So cool.
So cool.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart.
Okay.
I love George Michael.
Oh, Holy Night.
This Christmas by Tawnya Pettiford-Wates. Hands down.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, come all ye faithful. Just so full of joy. Where are you, Christmas?
Okay.
That's a good one.
I know we sang a song in the men's chorus a couple years ago. It's an Ave Maria mashed up with I Believe. So that's one of my favorites, but my other favorite, Making Christmas from the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh.
Just fun. This is what it's like. They're bashing stuff out, going, you're getting ready for it. You have to work that one in. So somebody work that into a... Okay, so I always have something favorite from every show I've seen. And I have one song which stuck out, and you guys were singing it when I came in. And you made me cry. Go Where I Send Thee. Oh my gosh. You make me tear up now when I think about it. Can I get you to do like 8 bars of that? Because it really just really...
Just the first chorus for one of it.
Yeah, you got it right.
You want some more?
Well, I think from this time, but...
What about...
Children, go where I send thee. How shall I send thee? I'm gonna send thee one by one. One for the little bitty baby who was born in Bethlehem.
Yes. This is what you're going to sing and hear. It is worth it. What message do you want people to take away from this show? What do you want them to leave with?
The hope of peace is sweeter than peace itself.
And to keep trying for it. And yeah, and a human connection is the most important one. You know, it's the most important, is worth more than anything, you know.
The divine spark in every man.
Oh, yeah.
And you can put all of the meanings of Christmas in any year you want, and it doesn't matter. It's the same.
And that to acknowledge the mistakes of our past means that we can look at like what are the principles that we as a country uphold to and want to strive for. It's not shameful to acknowledge our mistakes. It helps us move forward.
Yes.
You have a magnificent show here. You have a magnificent, uplifting holiday show, Christmas show, Hanukkah show for any person that comes in here who needs to be uplifted. Come see this show. You guys run November 20th through December 20th, so they still have plenty of time to get tickets.
Yes.
That's right, at firehousetheater.org. You know, we've got amazing talent in this town. You need to come to Richmond, you need to come to Firehouse or any other amazing theater in this city because the talent is here. You guys are amazing. So thank you for sharing the stage with me, this show with me, that song with me. That was my Christmas gift. I was like, that was amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
That's right.
Thank you.
Come see the show.
Merry Christmas!
I'm Eric Russell. I have been out and about with the cast at Firehouse Theater's production of A Civil War Christmas. You never know where I'll turn up next. So tune in next time. Happy holidays and see you next time.
Happy holidays.